Have you ever wondered how one man could build the largest contiguous land empire in history? This isn't just a tale of conquest. It's the story of a boy named Temujin, who endured betrayal, slavery, and near constant warfare to become the legendary Genghis Khan. His story starts not in a palace, but on the harsh, unforgiving steppes of Mongolia around 1162. Life was brutal, a daily struggle for survival among warring nomadic tribes. Temujin was born into a minor noble family, but his world shattered when he was just 9 years old. His father, Yasuge, a respected clan leader, was poisoned by a rival tribe, the Tatars. This single act of treachery threw Temujin's family into chaos. According to tradition, his father's followers should have supported him, but instead, they abandoned him, his mother, and his siblings, leaving them to fend for themselves on the desolate plains. This was practically a death sentence. They were forced to live like outcasts, surviving on wild fruits, roots, and whatever small animals they could catch. This period of extreme hardship didn't break Temujin. It taught him resilience, the importance of loyalty, and a deep-seated desire for justice against those who had wronged his family. It was during these formative years that the seeds of a future conqueror were sown, watered by bitterness and a fierce will to live. As a young man, Temujin's troubles were far from over. He was captured and enslaved by the very clan that had abandoned his family. Forced to wear a wooden collar, a symbol of utter humiliation, he was paraded as a trophy. But even in chains, Temujin's spirit remained unbroken. He saw an opportunity during a festival, knocked out his guard, and escaped, hiding in a river with only his head above the water until his pursuers gave up. This daring escape earned him a reputation for being resourceful and incredibly brave. Freed from captivity, Temujin began the long and arduous task of building his power base. He started with nothing, but he had a powerful charisma and a keen understanding of people. He sought out his father's old ally, Togrul, the powerful leader of the Kirit tribe. He presented Togrul with a valuable sable coat, a wedding gift from his wife Bert's family, and pledged his loyalty. With this powerful alliance secured, Temujin was no longer a lone outcast. He was a player on the complex chessboard of steppe politics. His first major test came when his wife, Bert, was kidnapped by the Merkit tribe, an act of revenge for his father having stolen his mother from a Merkit man years earlier. For Temujin, this was both a personal tragedy and a political crisis. Losing his wife was a deep dishonor that he could not ignore. He rallied his small band of followers, and with the help of his ally, Togrul, and his childhood blood brother Jamuka, launched a surprise attack on the Merkit camp. The raid was a success. Bert was rescued, and Temujin's victory significantly boosted his reputation. Warriors began to flock to his banner, attracted by his leadership, his generosity to his followers, and his ruthlessness towards his enemies. He was different from other leaders. He promoted people based on merit and loyalty, not just their family connections. This revolutionary idea, known as the meritocracy, created an incredibly effective and loyal fighting force. However, his rising fame created a rift with his blood brother Jamuka. While Temujin favored a system of merit, Jamuka adhered to the traditional aristocratic structure of the steppes. Their friendship soured and turned into a bitter rivalry. They became the two most powerful figures in Mongolia, and it was clear the steppes weren't big enough for both of them. Their conflict would decide the future of the Mongol people. The inevitable war between them was long and bloody. At one point, Jamuka defeated Temujin and committed a horrific act. He boiled 75 Temujin's captured generals alive in cauldrons. This barbarity backfired. Instead of instilling fear, it disgusted many of Jamuka's own followers, who saw it as dishonorable. Many defected to Temujin, whose reputation for fairness and just leadership grew even stronger. Over the next decade, Temujin methodically defeated all of his rivals, including the Tatars who had poisoned his father and his former ally Togrul. His final showdown was with Jamuka himself. In 1204, Temujin's forces finally crushed Jamuka's army. Jamuka's own men betrayed him, delivering him to Temujin in hopes of a reward. But Temujin, who despised his loyalty above all else, had the traitors executed. He then offered Jamuka a chance to reconcile, to be his right-hand man once more. But Jamuka refused. He believed that just as there could only be one sun in the sky, there could only be one ruler of the Mongols. He asked for a noble death, one without the shedding of blood, as was the custom for royalty. Temujin granted his old friend's last wish, and Jamuka's back was broken. With his last great rival gone, the path was clear. In 1206, a great assembly, or court, was called on the banks of the Anan River. All the unified tribes of the steppes gathered to formally recognize Temujin as their supreme leader. It was here that he was given the honorary title he is known to history by, Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This wasn't just a new title. It was the birth of a new nation and a new identity. The Mongol people. As Genghis Khan, his first order of business was to organize his new nation for conquest. He knew that to keep the traditionally warring tribes from turning on each other, he had to give them a common enemy. He established a strict code of law called the Yasa, which unified the tribes under a single legal framework. It forbade kidnapping women, theft, and adultery, and demanded absolute loyalty to the Khan. He reorganized his army into a decimal system, with units of 10, ciento 1,000, and 10,000, which made command and control incredibly efficient. He created a communication network known as VM, a sort of pony express that allowed messages and intelligence to travel across the vast empire at incredible speeds. This system was the logistical backbone of his military machine. The Mongols were no longer just a collection of tribes. They were a disciplined, organized, and unstoppable force. With his people unified and his army ready, Genghis Khan turned his gaze outward. His first major campaigns were against the Western Xia Kingdom in northern China and the powerful Jin dynasty. The Mongols, masters of steppe warfare, had to adapt to siege warfare against fortified cities, but they were quick learners. They captured engineers from the lands they conquered and forced them to build siege engines like catapults and battering rams. They used terror as a weapon, offering cities a chance to surrender. Those that resisted were utterly destroyed, a brutal but effective strategy that encouraged others to submit without a fight. By 1215, they had captured the Jin capital of Jiangdu, which is modern-day Beijing. The conquest of northern China provided the Mongols with immense wealth, resources, and skilled artisans who would be vital for future campaigns. But the most fateful campaign was yet to come. Genghis Khan had initially wanted to establish trade relations with the powerful Khwarezmian Empire, which stretched across modern-day Iran, Afghanistan, and Central Asia. He sent a trade caravan, but the governor of a Khwarezmian border city, suspecting them to be spies, had them executed and their goods seized. Genghis Khan, seeking a diplomatic solution, sent ambassadors to the Shah of Khwarezmia to demand the governor be punished. In an act of incredible arrogance and folly, the Shah had one of the ambassadors killed and shaved the beards of the other two, a grave insult. This act sealed the fate of his empire. Enraged, Genghis Khan unleashed the full might of the Mongol horde. He gathered an army of over 100,000 of his best warriors and launched a multi-pronged invasion in 1219. What followed was one of the most devastating military campaigns in history. The Mongols swept through the Khwarezmian Empire like a force of nature, leaving a trail of destruction. Great cities like Samarkand, Bukhara, and Urgench, centers of learning and culture, were razed to the ground. The Shah fled and died a broken man on an island in the Caspian Sea. The Mongol invasion completely reshaped Central Asia. It was a brutal beginning, but it also paved the way for something unprecedented. Genghis Khan's conquests, and those of his sons and grandsons, would eventually link the East and the West like never before. They created a vast zone of peace, the Pax Mongolica, which allowed trade, ideas, and technologies to flow freely along the Silk Road. The printing press, gunpowder, and the compass all made their way from China to Europe during this period, helping to spark the European Renaissance. Genghis Khan passed away in 1227 during a campaign, but his legacy was secure. The empire he founded would continue to expand under his successors, reaching from the Pacific Ocean to the heart of Europe. He was a complex figure, ruthless conqueror responsible for immense destruction, but also a visionary leader who united a fractured people, established a code of law, and created an empire that would change the course of world history. From an abandoned boy on the steppe to the ruler of the known world, The story of Genghis Khan is a powerful testament to the unbreakable strength of the human will. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic tales from history. See you next time.